G is the next match on the cards. We're trying to pick some bands here, Toli. This is a battle for relegations more than anything else. 4 points versus 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's exactly correct. ALG on the better end of things currently. SoaR Gaming are actually 7th place. They're tied in points with Flashpoint, but they have the head-to-head record, so that's going to be favoring them. However, Team Allegiance right behind them, so this is a battle between that 7th versus 6th spot.
Now, obviously, as well, we mentioned it a little bit earlier on, SoaR will not be having Aninster in the mid lane today. He's got personal reasons for not being available at the moment, and now they're going to bring in, I believe it's Man Ray. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Man Ray is one of these players that's well known in the range scene specifically. Has flirted with a little bit of the competitive scene before here and there. Morgan being picked very early here for Team Allegiance.
But we saw Cyclone play in the solo lane before, and it looks like we may see it again. Not necessarily in the solo lane now that Amaterasu has been drafted, but we do see that in support sometimes.
Absolutely. PBM loves running this warrior support, having a lot of mobility, a lot of damage. The mobility providing him the advantage from going to the dual lane to mid lane whenever he wants to. But SoaR Gaming also have this Nike to be able to kind of match, well, not necessarily match it, but catch up a little bit.
So a lot of lockdown already on the side of SoaR to be able to get to someone like Morrigan with the Thor dunk available and the Bacchus flop. Morrigan could be exposed a little bit there. Medusa, drafted by Allegiance. Not a big surprise to see the Medusa coming into the fray once more.
Going back to the Morrigan pick here, I'm just really surprised that Team Allegiance picked it this early in the draft.
Because nobody else is doing it, right?
Yeah, nobody's doing it right now. This is a pick that you don't necessarily have to throw away or pick this early on. Normally, you also want to see what the players are going to pick so that way you can kind of decide on whether it's worth picking the Morrigan so you can synergize more ultimates better.
Well, Changar's Zeus banned out by SoaR Gaming. A little bit worried about the mid lane mages. They're not expecting Morrigan to be in the mid lane, and they're correct with that because the Agni now locked in for Allegiance.
Mad Yankee playing the Agni. He's going to have a lot of control here when he hits level 5. Those bombs over the wall, mobility on the side of Amaterasu, but still going to get responded in turn. It's going to be a lot of wombo combo potential here for SoaR Gaming.
Yeah, they've got a lot set up for this Scylla now that they've just drafted, and a Cupid too. Two backline characters that are very good at influencing the team fights with major ultimates.
Oh, that cripple is going to be so detrimental as well, just for the 1v1s against the Medusa. It's going to force out her Petrify just to be able to get that CC immunity.
Not just that, but against Agni as well, pretty strong there too. Osiris, the final pick for Allegiance, which dictates to me this is Morrigan jungle.
It could very well be Morrigan jungle here. Weekend has been experimenting in the past, previously been playing some Guardian junglers before. You know, he's played Khepri before in the jungle. He's played Odin before in the jungle. Even Kumbhakarna at one point or not.
The pros have been talking a lot about this Morrigan jungle, and that's probably the position we'll see her in most of all, just because her laning phase isn't the strongest, her wave clear isn't that good. Her jungle capability of coming out of the jungle as a different character could be beneficial.
Cyclone Spin has not played Osiris in quite a while here, so this is a very aggressive god. We've seen Maniac do wonders with it, as well as Deathwalker recently in the past out of Europe, so now it's up to Cyclone Spin to see if he can bring it back into North American meta at least.
He's a very proficient Osiris player though with Cyclone Spin. He's been on this before in the past. He's happy to go to it again. I like the interesting build that he started with in terms of consumables here on that Osiris. He's gone for the Chalice of Healing as well as health potions here. So he's got no mana involved in regeneration other than Death's Toll unless he gets a blue buff totally. That blue buff's very important to him now with that build.
And with Amaterasu on PBM right here starting for the 2v2, it's going to allow him to maybe apply more pressure here. Now Thor is great at level 1 because of his passive, but so is PBM once he has that aura.
Well, mages with ranged attacks are very beneficial in the early game in the mid just to start clearing the wave early, and that's what Weekend and Met Yankee have managed to do for themselves. It gives them priority at the beginning of this game of where they want to begin. The funny thing is, both the hunters started in the same position of killing the babies at their camps before they went to lane. Bad news is Allegiance are going to strip the red and probably stop Vetium from doing anything else on this left-hand side.
More than likely on the right-hand side, Allegiance, they were flirting with the idea of potentially stealing away the blue after they out-cleared their opposition, but with the rotations from both the support and the mid laner, not wanting to really deal with it because Jigs, despite only being level 1, that burp is going to do a little bit of damage here to be able to really stop their efforts.
Going to be an awkward position now for SoaR to be in without Aninster here today, Man Ray in the mid lane. That kind of throws a lot of your synergies off totally because mid lane is such an integral part of the way SMITE is played at the highest levels.
Absolutely. We saw earlier on Thursday against Flashpoint, Answer was doing a great job playing the RAR, Man Ray, not necessarily known for his Raw, so instead electing to play for this Scylla here, which is also still going to be a great job synergizing with the team. It's a lot of burst potential here between Jigs playing the Bacchus, Homie FA playing the Thor, and that global presence here, you could still surprise people with just the Anvil of Dawn and I'm a Monster.
And that's the difference now is Homie FA and Jigs have got a lot more pressure on their shoulders today. With having Man Ray, a substitute in the mid lane, they have to set up well, communicate a lot better.
But to be fair though, they just recently acquired Fine OK, so this is kind of a similar position for them where they have a new player in one solo lane, so they're not really too unfamiliar with that role.
Well, Vetium and Ocean's going to have a little boxing match here. Not one that Ocean's really wants to take because he was just after the purple buff. Cyclone doesn't want this match either. Coming up against both Fine OK on that Nike and Thor as well. Pressure in this Osiris early. Very beneficial for the side of SoaR.
Especially against Cyclone Spin. Cyclone Spin is usually the person that has the jungle assistance, not the other way around. So this is not giving him the sort of advantage he really needs. Now at first, I thought it was going to be Morgan in the solo lane and Osiris in the jungle because of the fact that Morgan can stop the clear basically.
That's true, the stun.
From the Nike.
With the stun, she can use that to her advantage, but her clear isn't the strongest in the world. Cyclone did good things in the solo lane with it last time, at least surviving and just farming safely. But this time round, Weaken will be playing it from the jungle. All these ultimates now at the disposal of Weaken once he hits this level 5. I'm just more interested to see which ones he ends up investing into using here. Whether it'll be mainly Man Ray, or will he look to steal away a bit of Homie FA's Thor here?
Anyone but Homie FA's ultimate probably is going to be the case.
What reason for that, Tolly?
When was the last time you saw Weaken play Thor?
When he landed on a speed buff.
That's true.
So there you go. I mean, he got a speed.
He got that speed buff.
He got that speed good and proper. And maybe that's one of the reasons Morrigan was drafted, you know? He wanted the versatility of being everything and anything for his team. And that's what Morrigan brings, realistically. The opportunity to play any god.
And it was also a flex pick anyway because of the fact that Allegiance was second pick. They have their solo laner for the last pick. This is something that Cyclone Spin has been doing since the AFK days with Weekend back in the day. They've been flexing so many different picks between them.
Now recognizes that Polar Bear Mike was there. Love the decision for him to actually hold his dash there. Polar Bear Mike was looking to time his silence with the dash to cancel that one out, but Vetium just wisely just holds onto it until he has to use it.
And not having, because that didn't happen, he didn't have to use his Fields of Love to be able to run away. And even if Fields of Love was used, PBM can easily use his own ultimate, which gives him CC immunity, does a lot of damage on each successful hit. And with Vetium going for the Purification Beats instead of the Aegis, taking a full damage from the ultimate of Amaterasu, and even at level 5 or 6, is still going to be enough to get the first blood.
So is there any favor to either team right now? I know we're 4 minutes in, we've not seen any real invades or kills going on other than the very original start of the game here, Tolly. Does one team have a better time of this by just farming out for now?
I think at this point, Ocean's with a 1-level lead. Behold, that Thought Weekend is here with PBM. The silence is going to catch one, forcing them both to disengage. The blue buff is still on the ground. It was
stolen there by Allegiance, and now they're going to look to steal away the speed buff from SoaR as well. Homie FA does not want to contest. He's just going to take a trip back to base. His boots are available to be finished. I think that's what he was thinking about doing, but cancel that. He's chosen not to go back now and continues farming.
And now this is the level advantage that Cyclone Spin needs to have to be a big bully. Still not having the HP 5 from the second ability of Nike means that Cyclone Spin can use that Health Chalice and those health bots to do exactly this. Just use the tether, make sure that he constantly has his passive online for that 16% damage, physical mitigated, and as a result, he's going to force Final K to constantly back.
And talking about Final K, it's not a great fight to really be in up against an Osiris. Osiris in laning phase is so difficult to deal with. Which gods are actually good against Osiris in that laning phase at the start, Tolly? Is there anyone that actually stands up to him? Kraken, maybe?
Anyone that doesn't have to come too close to him.
Okay.
Like Chalk, Erlong Shen is good. Even Kamazotz wouldn't be a bad idea.
I do like what Final K did there. If you don't know that animation that happens, when you do leap, you will go to the end of your leap as you get stunned as well. So you can get a faster leap off to get away from the damage if the stun is timed at the right time from that tether. But Cyclone Spin, yep, on an Osiris who's all about in-hand damage. Final K is going to press Rend, he's going to clear the wave, and then jump out before the tether hits him.
That's what he's going to have to hope and have to kind of wait for it to see what Osiris is going to be able to do here on the right-hand side. Cyclone Spin just going to be a big on bully, but the left-hand side, we haven't seen too much action after we saw the early rotation here from PBM. Not too much. Vedium's just constantly looking to farm, and I love what he's doing right here. He's basically freezing the wave by not clearing it out here.
Yeah.
It's forcing out the rotation from Oceans to overcommit a little bit deeper than he wants
and
to.
And the key is here, he's last hitting still to make sure he gets these Devourer Gauntlet stacks online. It'll give him more sustain as time goes on. And it makes it a little bit more awkward for Oceans now because there's a small power spike involved for Oceans with the Warrior Tabby online and the Transcendence eventually. But Vetium will be able to sustain quite healthily for the time being.
Oceans not really looking to play too aggressive because of those hearts and the Devil Gloves from Vetium. Any sort of poke from Oceans is going to be relatively insignificant. Instead, unless there's a rotation from the rest of his teammates to be able to capitalize on that pick, maybe have Waken actually take into the form of Homie FA Store, maybe look for a global ultimate and apply more pressure into this duel lane.
We'll talk about Homie FA. He's just started to glance towards this left-hand lane for a moment, but the red buff available is going to get dropped before Allegiance can come in to look to steal. Polar Bear Mike leading the charge up against Jigs there. Polar Bear Mike playing the Amaterasu. Pretty good against the backers to be able to cancel out that belch with the silence. Can make a big impact.
And not only that, you're taking advantage of whenever Jigs is going to dive your backline, you're just going to dive just as hard if you're PBM. You're trying to match damage with damage, which is why we see the reinforced Greaves for both of these players, just making sure that they're going to be as tanky as possible because their base damage numbers on these gods is just plentiful.
Well, SoaR is trying to play reactionary right now to what Allegiance are doing, just looking to farm up. This plays into Allegiance's hands pretty well. With a Morrigan jungle, you wanted to get levels online just so your abilities will do damage when you pop that ultimate. Remember that when you are leveling as a Morrigan, the points that you invest into her abilities also reflect the points that you get of the god that you become once you turn into them.
And not only this, Weekend is 2 levels ahead of Homie FA, going stealth mode here in the melee, but not looking to go in quite yet. The abilities were still available for SoaR. Didn't want to get flopped on or get basically rooted.
Yeah, it's just a very situational game where both teams are just constantly looking to farm. You heard the scream there of Fine OK for a moment, as now one of his passives has been procced for the side of SoaR. Having
250 minions killed here on the side of SoaR means that they're going to have that extra mobility, the extra power. It's not too much to write home about, but it's just a little bit.
Ooh, Mike a little bit too far forward there, getting aggressive. He's going to ult defensively. Homie FA goes to the sky looking to get a bird's eye view of what Allegiance are up to. He went for Medusa, and Medusa changed her mind.
Oh, on the backhand side, though, Cyclone Spin made the teleport. He's going to be able to pinch onto Homie FA, doing a little bit of poke. He's going to force out the meditate from Jigs, despite having the hearts from Vetium.
Not only that, though, Weekend was forced to turn into Jigs at some point, turn into the Bacchus and flop away back to safety. That ultimate now being expended there by Allegiance. This is good wins for SoaR when you look at it. They got teleport out of Osiris, they got the ultimate out of Weekend, and Morrigan's ultimate cooldown. It's a long one, totally.
That's true. It is indeed a little bit longer than most would anticipate here. Only 110 seconds still remaining on that level 2 ultimate. But to be fair, SoaR had to use that Thor ultimate. They used the meditation from Jigs as well. So Allegiance still got a little bit out of that.
Little dance off between the two, mainly focused around it. You can see the experience and gold difference at the moment. We're roughly about 1,400 gold in favor of Allegiance. And this is actually, no, it's not more than that. Apologies for that. That's generally down to the Morrigan being in the game. Ignore that one in the grand scheme of things. Left hand side though, Petrify comes out from Vetium, and Homie FA eats a lot of that Petrify too. Vetium was trying to continue the pressure onto Weekend, but instead it's Vetium that's running for his life right now. Luckily the hearts are there to continue to sustain him back up, and the Gold Fury could be turned to.
You know how I say normally you find kills or you don't find kills and then you look to make power plays right there? Despite Allegiance not finding these 2 kills, it's basically just as good as a kill to allow themselves to start up this Gold Fury.
A monster popped by Man Ray early. It will dissuade Allegiance from aggroing the Gold Fury again. Yama monster's in place, focused towards Weekend. The Gold Fury is still being looked at by Allegiance, and no! Stole it!
Intoxicate was good, and now Homie FA diving onto Weekend. His Purification Beads is not available. Berserker Barrage secures first blood as well as the Gold Fury. Jigs doing a great job with that Intoxicate.
Huge play from Jigs there to come up big for his team. Obviously, Bacchus is one of the best supports for stealing Gold Furies, and it shows up again. Not only that, it set up a situation where Homie FA finds first blood as well onto the Morrigan, which is one thing you want to try and do. Shut down Weekend if you can. And one other way of trying to shut him down is steal away the speed that Fine OK is a little bit alone right now trying to do.
This is the one problem with Agni is he does have damage throughout a team fight, but he doesn't have that absolute burst damage off of one ability. If you can find his 3 bombs into the complete succession, then you're going to be able to secure that goal here. But with Intoxicate being right around the corner on the side of Jigs, there was no possible way for Allegiance to out-damage that Intoxicate despite it being a level 9 Bacchus.
So it's a small lead for SoaR right now. Ocean's still continuing to farm up against Vetium. Both level 11 now. A lot of that comes down to Vetium getting the Gold Fury, but not only that, his lane freezing actually allowed him to catch up a little bit against Oceans after the start of the game. Fine, okay, boxing against Cyclone. Is it ever wise to box an Osiris in any given scenario, Toli?
It depends on what your kit is. Here, Fine OK, he's maxing out the second ability for that HP 5, and that's going to allow him to try to look for some of these poke changes because he can always clear the wave on his tower line just like this.
Left-hand side, Vetium being aggressed on, has to drop the fields of love early. That's going to detonate onto Polar Bear. Mike after the ultimate from Mike ends as well. Yankee's flanking around the back. Bad news for Yankee, there's a minion wave coming in too, so he would get spotted on this. And with Man Ray and Jigs hovering in the jungle, they changed their mind. Oceans will eat a bit of poke off Vetium there, and Vetium will push him back. Difference is, though, Oceans still has that ultimate available.
Didn't have any stacks available to be able to pop the stun effect there, and I like what Vetium tried to do there. Using one Heart Bomb and one in-hand attack on the archers will sometimes proc and hit the enemy hunter as well based off of the radius of it. However, when you use the Heart Bomb, you're also going to be able to knock back that archer, and it's going to hide behind one of your other archers, so therefore that one in-hand that would have detonated it did not connect.
Gotcha. 12.5 minutes in, Vetium will pick up the purple buff on the left-hand side, at least drop it, more than likely to give over towards Jigs. Homie FA, level 11, about to hit level 12, so keeping pace with Weaken in the jungle as the time stands.
3-on-2 on the left-hand side, but doesn't seem to really recognize this quite yet. Looking at the wards, it doesn't seem that there's any behind the Gold Fury, but Ocean's taking a lot of damage from Homie FA. Here's PBM, but his ultimate is
Weaken
still
in the sky,
on cooldown.
he's using the Thoral, he'll find Jigs, not the prime target, he was after a little bit too deep. Now Homie goes up and Weaken could be in trouble. Cancel that. The focus is on Mike. Petrify from Oceans will keep Mike alive, denying Homie FA from continuing the aggression. Great Wall from Homie denies Yankee from getting involved with the bombs, but instead Cyclone's now teleported, and this could be trouble.
Not able to find any target as Man Ray on the route. SoaR Jigs is here to be able to continue the action because Fine OK is right around the corner. Bit of a wash for both teams, not able to find the kills they necessarily wanted to. It was a great Petrify from Oceans, making sure that PBM was going to be able to get out alive on that one.
Yeah, that Petrify was absolutely monstrous. He also got the beads off of Homie FA as well, which means they're on cooldown for a little while. It was Weaken that really initiated the fight, if anything, with the Thor ultimate, but he found Jigs. He wasn't really after Jigs. Cyclone, though, a little bit risky trying to trade against 2 here at half health. Luckily enough, Oceans is with him.
He's not afraid because of that exact reason. Oceans is right around the corner. He has Height of Nemean line to be able to dive that Hunter on the side of Vetium.
And Thorns as well. So it looks like Cyclone's game plan here is to get in the face of SoaR as much as possible. If he hits an I'm a Monster and the Thorns are procced, Silly's going to have a rough time of things.
Definitely going to be doing a lot of damage with that Relic, but either way, not able to really find anything on the left. Both Soul Laners investing, or sorry, just the Cyclone's been having to use the teleport on the left-hand side, so Final K is what was once behind like a level and a half, still struggling a little bit, but not as much as he was before, getting his own blue buff.
I think one of the issues we've got this game, Toli, is the fact that the gods that are in the game, it's all SoaR that could be the initiators in this game. But I think with having Man Ray in the mid, a substitute, and Final K just coming on the roster, they don't want to be the ones that are aggressing. They're kind of trying to be reactionary against Allegiance. And when you look at Allegiance's comp, the only one that's going to really try and force it is going to be Polar Bear Mike and Amaterasu.
And in order to be very counter-engagey on the side of SoaR, you have to be very well-timed in your positioning. And in order to have that advantage, you need the ward control. So it's very important for Jigs to position himself around the map, make sure that he drops down those wards, and everyone else invest into it. We see everyone with wards on the side of SoaR, 4 sentries and 5 regular.
Well, the Gold Fury's just spawning, but the Oracles are the ones being contested right now by Mike, Yankee, Vetium, and now Homie FA turn up. They both go the way of SoaR, though, thanks to a nice Heart Bomb and Wall combo coming out from Homie FA and Vetium. Both teams will fall back to, once again, continue farming.
15 minutes into the game, SoaR was fortunate enough to steal away that Gold Fury earlier on, but no real contention for this next one that has just respawned. So still looking for some sort of advantage, whether or not either team can really find it. Both teams just electing to play it super safe.
I'm pretty sure, totally, if you're at home listening and watching this one right now, go put the kettle on because it's going to be like this for a little while longer, I suspect. Left-hand side, there was a little bit of a cheeky look from SoaR towards the red buff, but they're not going to find it. Given over to Oceans on that Medusa.
And I'm surprised that SoaR is not kind of forcing the issue here, considering that they have Homie FA playing the store that has the long-range stun. Man Ray can easily follow up with the root, and you don't even have to fully commit with the Thor Hammer teleport into Berserker Barrage. You could just throw it out for the poke and then look to reset.
Surprised they're not really trying to focus Met Yankee in the mid on that Agony. If you can catch the dash or wall off the dash, it puts the Agony in a bit of an awkward spot, but now that he's got his second relic online, not been focused at all in this game, it's going to become one of those much more difficult to reach characters.
Some players will elect to actually teleport through their hammer from the mid Harpies into the mid lane just to be able to catch some of these mid mages with that wall. That's a great mechanic to be able to do, because the fact that you can catch these important cooldowns, and without that dash, Agni's basically another sitting duck.
Nothing worse than being Jigsaw, Polar Bear, Mike now. They're angsty. They both just want to engage if they can, but there's just not been many opportunities for them to do so far. The Gold Fury from Allegiance could be looked at right now. On the right-hand side, though, Cyclone Spin looking at an early rotation, worried about FineOK having the teleport available. Has actually cost him a tier 1 tower for free. Good work from FineOK.
Neither solo lane are electing to use that teleport. We see Gold Fury being flirted with the idea. Neither team really finding the right opportunity to look for the poke, but finally, SoaR get another objective here. They got the Gold Fury steal earlier on from Jigs' Intoxicate, and FineOK is very comfortable sitting here farming it up, because that's what you want to do as a Nike, to be able to get your passives more online. You know, they already got the first passive with the 250 minion kills. They're not going to find the second one for quite a while, as they need 10 kills to find the second one. But the third one, as long as they have 2 members at level 20, that's when they're going to get an extra power spike.
Right, Elemental's going to go the way of Allegiance, and they're looking towards the Portal Demon here, trying to sneak that away. Bad news is Homie FA had an idea that was going on, so it's going to force a reset for now. No real pressure coming out from Allegiance for the time being. It's mainly rotations in the grand scheme of things.
Homie FA was actually 2 or 1.5 levels behind on the side of Weekend earlier on in the game. He was level 8 when Weekend was level 10 or so, and now he's been able to catch up in this experience department, doing a great job making sure that he's not losing any farm on the map.
This is EU Resident Sleeper right now. This is what I expect out of EU totally. Positional, tactical game where you all sit back and wait for an opportunity. That's EU style of play, not Allegiance versus SoaR. I never would have expected this.
It's also Eager style as well, and this could be an adaptation that a lot of teams has made to be able to slow things down, recognizing that it's better to be able to wait for the opportunities to come to you instead.
Surprised that they didn't continue that aggression on Mike, as his dash was down, and a nice little flop from Jigs to follow up, but no one on SoaR wanted to commit there. Stun from Yankee will hit Homie FA, stop them advancing towards the aggression. The Oracle's pit is actually free right now. Neither team came out on top with the free walk.
FineOK jumping in the backline, not connecting, doing a little bit of poke, actually a lot of poke, as Vedium connects that hard bomb onto PBM, having to stand switch just to get a little bit more health back on there. SoaR still looking for more poke, disengaging his Mad Yankee.
All 5 members of each team are on this left-hand side now. Mike has now been forced to ult as FineOK goes to the back looking at Oceans. Jigs is trying to join him, and FineOK is nice and tanky with that shield on the front lines for now. On the back of this, Homie FA is in the sky, I believe, looking to try and come down onto somebody. Cyclone Spin, though, is wailing away on Vetium, and Vetium needs some help healing. He'll get a meditate as there goes Weak and flopping in on a backers, trying to keep Man Ray busy. Man Ray's Armor Monster's ready, and he primes it. Doesn't find a single target with it, however. Nobody has died.
Nobody at all. Disengaging is FineOK. Not on the mark is the root, and this is going to allow Allegiance a little bit of space control. PBM has made it back into this team fight. Cyclone Spin is here as well. 5 on 5 still. Both of these teams want this second Gold Fury.
Ultimates have been expended here, Tolly, which makes it very difficult to try and steal this one away. The bombs from Agony could be the deciding factor, if anything else. Gold Fury is still alive, and FineOK went to the back, leapt in, and then Jigs will follow him up. FineOK ate some poke. Both teams in a very healthy position still, though. This is a dance of dances.
Well, Mad Yankee got poked out. He's at about 25% health. He just now goes back into the base. PBM having not too much mana as well, and this could be an opportunity for SoaR to start up the Gold Fury, but not having they don't have the vision control that spotted out those 2 backs.
It's funny because I think Met Yankee and the Agony is one of the deciding factors of trying to contest that. The bombs that he will always generally have available, he's on a lot of a shorter cooldown as well, doesn't require mana for it, and the stun can really shut down SoaR's potential if they don't have anything themselves to secure it.
They just has to worry about the positioning of Mad Yankee with that low of a health pool. Weekend in the thick of things,
Double
finding
stun.
a stun onto 2, and now Cyclone Spin diving, but it's just a bait. Able to secure their first goal here is Allegiance.
All they want is the goal fury. The goal lead isn't massive now. Homie FA to the sky, looking for a prime target. Weekend's pretty low there, so is Oceans. They group together, and he goes for Oceans. Immediate beats from Oceans in response. Homie FA's in trouble. The Cyclone comes over the wall with the Lord of the Afterlife. Homie recognizes it though. Weekend, different story. Man Ray gets it with a crush. Cyclone goes straight to the back though. Gonna zone away Vetium one more time. Tether on 3 targets. They're running for their lives right now. Stun's about to come through. Hitting Jigs and fine okay. Follow-up damage from Yankees good.
Monsters being used, not able to find anybody, but now it's going to be Man Ray that's in trouble, using it defensively just to deter Cyclone Spin away, but Med Yankee's on the side.
Matt Yankee's on the side, but he is alone up against Man Ray and Fine OK. Can't find any more from that engagement, so only 2 people die there. Jigs and Weekend are the casualties of that war at the Gold Fury.
It should have been even more. Homie FA dove that backline, barely escaped with his life. 1% health. He was surrounded by 3 eye members at least
that was
around that red buff.
Typical hammer throw and hope to high heaven. You can teleport to it in time.
Spamming that one in the process.
Please don't hit the wall. Please don't hit the wall. Come on, get me through. And just in time, Homie FA will escape. The only 2 kills that SoaR have found, though, have been onto Weekend on that Morrigan. And that's kind of what you expect with a Morrigan, I feel. She's going to be focused a lot because you're worried about her potential as the game goes on, totally. And you want to take her out early in the engagement so she can't turn it around.
Especially the way Weekend's been playing the Morrigan. Really very aggressively, very sneaky-deaky-like, trying to get that double stun off very successfully. But it was the rest of Allegiance that was doing the goal here. Imagine Allegiance was there to follow up off of that double stun.
I've only seen Weekend, though, turn into Thor and Bacchus so far. I've not seen him look towards any other character in the game to look at transversing into. It's been the disengage from a Bacchus or even the engage potential from a Bacchus, and the same with the engage potential from a Thor. But that's kind of what you expect from a jungler anyway, right?
It's all about the disruption. Intoxicate is a huge tool to prevent the members of SoaR to really get off to the position that they want to. And at the same time, Thor as well, providing that global pressure, the long-distance artillery to set up the mid lane. And not only that, he could also elect to maybe go for the Nike here, trying to have that shield and the huge slow with ultimate.
Well, 22 minutes in the game now. Bombs over the wall from Yankee did great work on Man Ray and actually got his Aegis there. Man Ray was worried about the all-in potential, and I'm not sure if Allegiance knows SoaR just used that Aegis, but at the same time, Man Ray's low enough that he's running for his life right now. Those Thorns from Cyclone Spin, that Relic did great work.
Just buying him enough time to thwart everyone from SoaR on the south-hand side. Allegiance is now pushing down the mid with the minions right here. That's going to be a free tier 1 mid tower.
Good little work from Allegiance. That answers back one of the towers that SoaR got in the mid lane as well, so opens up the mid lane map. Allegiance may look for the right hand side tier 1 here, and I think they're trying to bait SoaR in. Bad news is SoaR, they're not biting just yet.
Weekend is stealth. He's trying to find the right stun. Fine, okay, does get Agni Bomb stun, but not connecting on that. PBM taking a lot of damage. I'm a monster connects and resets.
Doesn't reset to get a second though. Next on the list is Polar Bear Mike, who's forced to ult defensively. Homie FA invested in him there. Fine, Weekend now on the left was playing the Bacchus, and now he's playing Morrigan again. Rough spot to be in, Weekend. That wall will deny you access back to the safety of your team. 4-1, SoaR now 2 kills their way, and the Portal Demon on the cards.
All it takes is one great ultimate from Man Ray to turn the tide from SoaR, and that's exactly what happened there. He found the kill earlier on to Matt Yankee, resetting it, doing even more damage with the second one, allowing SoaR to really control the pace of that team fight. And yet again, with Weekend going to Morrigan, transforming into the Bacchus from Jigs, didn't really provide that oomph in the team fight.
Yeah, that's true. Didn't at all, and now Weekend's not really, I wouldn't say he's definitely struggling this game, but he's not really been able to find as much as he would like to with this Morrigan, I feel. They would like him to try and wrap round, find the stealth stun, which he's done a couple of times.
He's tried.
But there's no follow-up, it feels. It feels like Allegiance are a little bit slow on the follow-up so far.
Look at this, SoaR taking advantage of those 2 picks, going for the Fire Giant immediately. PBM not here in time to contest that one. SoaR's just going to walk away, and this is a point in time where it's looking really scary for Allegiance, because now SoaR, their 4 kills, they're getting a little bit closer to that 10 10 kill mark for the passive of Nike. And on top of this, looking at the level advantages here, 18 on 3 members, FineOK, ManRay, and Vedium.
Good work, though, from SoaR, considering they've got a substitute and a new member with FineOK joining their ranks after the departure of Benji to E United. But fighting back against Allegiance, SoaR have been a bottom-end team. They were expected to be a potential super team this split. Instead, they found trials and tribulations throughout the split and now find themselves hanging near the bottom, fighting to stay in.
SoaR definitely struggled in the beginning of the split. The first 2 weeks, they were against both Eager and Luminosity that now stand at the top 2. So you can't really fault SoaR from that. But on top of this, and then not only that, they also unfortunately had to forfeit against E United due to that unfortunate roster set of circumstances. But after those 3 games, they did find a 2-0 against Flashpoint here. And despite not having Anister, they're still in a really comfortable position.
I agree with you all the way up to Flashpoint. No offense to Flashpoint, but they are the bottom team in North America, like guaranteed. So you don't find a win against them, you're going to have a bad time.
Jumping into the backline is going to be Jigs, preventing PBM from finding any sort of action with a nice Thor wall and the Cupid ultimate. PBM ultimate now on cooldown. That's going to give SoaR another huge advantage. And I'm surprised Allegiance is even here, considering SoaR has the Fire Giant.
I'm also surprised as well that FineOK got his teleport cancelled and didn't continue to split push. He's trying to get to the fight still. SoaR really want this gold. They flop onto Cyclone. Good intoxicate onto 2 on the backline from Jigs as well, keeping him busy. Weaken around the right-hand side, though, gets bursted heavily. Went for the Bacchus again. Flops away to safety, but Weaken's in a lot of trouble here because Homie FA has a target beating on his head.
I'm a monster.
I'm a monster.
Finds the reset as well, looking for the secondary target. Cyclone spins in range, gets hit a little bit, having to use Lord of the Afterlife over those right side mids, but it's Med Yankee caught out of position, forced to dash away under the tier 2 mid tower. FineOK with ManRay leading the charge, still having Fire Giant knocking up. No, the dash from Oceans is good.
Good for now. Teleport now coming into play from Allegiance defensively, trying to get some back to the fight. His Cyclone spin. He needs a whole chunk of damage though when he gets here. Flopped on as well, and Cyclone's in a bit of hurt. Luckily enough, he is tanky enough to weather the storm. The tier 2 tower, however, totally different story.
Cyclone spin still had his passive after using Lord of the Afterlife, having so much damage mitigation. If he did not have those 8 missing fragments, that was going to be almost a guaranteed kill, and the rest of SoaR would have probably continued to chase down Cyclone spin after that tier 2 tower.
Funny enough, I think if Cyclone realized how much damage he was going to take, if he would have popped Thorns there, that could have swung back in Allegiance's favor for a second. But SoaR with the Fire Giant will now get the Gold Fury on the left-hand side, making 2 Gold Furies to 1, giving them a roughly 5k gold lead right now as Met Yankee forced to defensively get away. Didn't have to use his beads there, which was very, very important.
Calculated play from Met Yankee, very confident as well, not using either of his relics, anticipating that his movement speed was still going to get him outside of the Fields of Love. Still applies a slow onto you before the detonate.
Well, now, a bit of an opportunity now for Allegiance just to try and push out their lanes for a second, as SoaR have headed back to base to spend some of that gold that they had in their coffers after the last couple of engagements with the Gold Fury, the Fire Giant, the towers as well. They can spend up nicely and advance these builds just a little bit more.
ManRay grabbing his own red buff. This is something that you normally want to do heading towards the later stages of the game. Normally you give it to the Hunter earlier on, but now with the Scylla especially, having the passive now maxing out 3 of her abilities, the next one's coming out with the next level, having so much additional magical power. This Scylla is going to start raising herself into the top of the player damage chart soon.
It's been slow from SoaR this game, but it's not been bad from SoaR.
Calculated.
Is it been calculated though? They've been very patient with their engages. They kind of waited a long time for their guys to get comfortable with their builds before they really started to try and turn up the heat.
Allegiance haven't been really giving up too much for SoaR to exploit in order for them to be able to run away with this game. Now, the fact that SoaR was able to steal away the first Gold Fury with Jigs' Intoxicate allowed SoaR to still stay relevant in the game for the most part.
This thing though with Weaken in the jungle, he's died 4 times, and I don't like harping on people who die a lot and exposing it, but it's not worked. It really hasn't worked. He's tried to make things happen with it, but every single time that Weaken turns into somebody, Homie FA immediately just sees red and waits for that person, waits for Weaken to pick him off at the end.
Well, the thing what Weaken does is he uses his stealth to initiate, and then he does the damage, and then he applies himself to become Jig, so he's super tanky. He applies the Intoxicate to the rest of SoaR for the disorientation, but then after the Belly Flop is down, Homie FA knows ensures that there's no escape for Weekend.
And Mike in a bit of trouble here, forced to hold defensively. Good bombs raining down from Yankee. Fields of love used, which will hit onto Polar Bear Mike as well as a heart bomb. Mike gets cleaned up by Man Ray off the back of that, so already it's a 4v5.
Cyclone's been diving the backline, gonna stun out Vedium as
Thorns
well,
are
popping
on.
the Thorns, doing a little bit of poke here, but Fine OK is basically doing the same thing in the back. Weekend forced into the Aegis to prevent the I'm a Monster. Lord of the Afterlife gonna prevent out that stun from Vedium, but not done chasing is Fine OK.
No, not at the moment. They still want to keep going aggressive here. Yankee's positioning there was very good. Didn't take a single lick of damage in that engagement. Continued to rain the bombs down, but he's not got any bombs right now. SoaR, however, much better position to take away the Portal Demon. And when the Fire Giant's available too, another awkward spot for Allegiance to be in.
Spotting it as Mad Yankee from a distance that objective was completed. Left-hand side was weakened for just a moment, getting a little bit of farm, but Allegiance have to be really worried about this next important objective. It's 30 minutes, and this Fire Giant will melt if uncontested.
Good work from Yankee to hang around here, just to keep vision on the Fire Giant for when it started, allow his team to get back here as well. Didn't choose to go back to base and leave it uncontested whatsoever. But
Oh,
now
no.
we're going to fight. Oceans is an awkward spot.
Oceans got caught on the wrong side of the wall for himself, but able to buy enough time for his teammates to bail him out of danger. If we see Jigs diving and finding a stun onto 3.
Good work on Jigs, but great work from Yankee to make sure Vet Team has to disengage. Mike giving chase with the ultimate, looking for a stun, only finds Jigs and Homie FA. Not the prime targets he wants. That crush though hit Mike in the face pretty hard. Jigs is still alive at the back and over the wall. Cyclone will clean him up just about.
Allegiance 5-on-4. They're the ones that are probably going to be considering this next objective. Great bombs. Going to disengage is Vedium. Met Yankee doing a great job just throwing them constantly over the wall. And just like that, Oceans, what looked like was a bad situation for him getting caught on the wrong side of the wall. Allegiance completely turned that on its head.
Well, Allegiance now have a mad advantage. Pulled the Fire Giant, still have aggro with it. And Polar Bear Mike not enjoying that. Neither Cyclone Spin. Chip to half health again, but the bombs from Yankee rain down, forcing them back again. Lord of the Afterlife from Cyclone, chasing onto Betty. I'm going to get the Aegis. The root did not come off from Man Ray. The Hammer Monster may be a different story. Waiting for the cripple from the Fields of Love, and it connects. Next on the list, nobody. Man Ray's now going to run. Great wall from Homie. FA will keep Man Ray alive in Oceans. He just can't clean it up.
1-for-1 solo for the Hunter, and this is a great spot to be in for SoaR as well, because now you get rid of that backline penetrate on the side of Cyclone Spin. As long as Man Ray's alive with Homie FA, the damage is available for SoaR. PBM is a little bit tanky, but this magical damage from Man Ray is just too much to really handle.
Allegiance trying to fight back into this in these last couple of engagements there, and it's not allowed them to get the tier 2 or that Fire Giant on the right hand side after that one, because too many members of SoaR were still hanging around.
Yeah, having a 5-on-4 for Allegiance, they elected to go for another pick instead of going for that important objective, which wasn't a bad call necessarily, but PBM was poked out a little bit too much. He was at around half health or less as he started up that Fire Giant.
I'm looking at the super sub right now. 5-0-1 in the mid lane of Scylla. For somebody who's just stepped into a team as a replacement for a time being, as a substitute, not a bad scoreline to have as a sub, right?
Not at all, especially when you're playing with Homie FA, Vedium, Jigs as well. Like, these players will definitely guide you to the promised land.
Well, at the moment, though, Allegiance were guided back to the Gold Fury land there, and they will pick up that Gold Fury for absolutely free. SoaR were not there to contest it. An unfortunate situation for them, but very beneficial for Allegiance to continue to close this lead that SoaR had developed in the early stages.
It's basically going to be a battle around the Fire Giant. It's the 33-minute mark. This is going to be the last objective, really, before these Phoenixes and Tier 2 towers really get looked at. So it has to be very controlling around the jungle for both teams with the regular wards and the sentries at this point.
Experience level is very important too. Keep an eye on the levels at the bottom of your screen. They can see the disparities so far between the two. A little bit behind their Allegiance there at the moment. The level 20 important one for SoaR, though, is Scylla, and that is online.
And not only is the level 20 important for Scylla, but it's also important for the Nike passive now having that second stack. Still needs 3 more kills to fully finish that third stack, but the right-hand side, we see the rest of Allegiance pushing down that Tier 1 tower.
Trying to, and they will get it overall. Nice work from Cyclone in the jungle to buy him a moment to be able to do that. Jigs still pushing on forward here, making sure can get up to the midway point of the minimap for the time being. The Fire Giant definitely the focal point from both teams once again, but neither team really feeling confident with how this game has gone so far. I don't think I'd be happy if I was either team.
There's too many variables variables for both teams to really consider to be able to safely start up any objective. It's all a little bit of a dance or a foot game that you can say, where they're trying to bait one into an awkward position. Obviously, Vedim recognizes that's going to be an illusion, just pops some in-hands, not investing into a hard bomb.
And at the moment, you can see the Hunters have climbed to the top of the player damage as the game's gone on. You'd expect that with the amount of penetration both these two have. A little bit of crit on the side of Oceans there with that rage as well. If he does get a kill and an assist, it will increase his crit chance a little bit more. There's a lot of talk about that item, whether it's actually good or bad. We'll find out as this one continues.
It's a very snowbally item to be able to look for more plays, but it hasn't been really popular compared to the last previous splits when you're trying to really synergize with the Deathbringer, because now, off of the assist or kills, which is not always guaranteed, whereas the last split, it was basically the more consecutive hits that you had, the additional crit percentage would build up for your internal kit.
Keep an eye on builds from the mid lane mages as well, because they do start to shine in the late game as well. They will burst some of these tanky targets down. Neither of them, though, have invested in a SoaR Reaver here. We've got Rodder Tahuti now coming online for Met Yankee. You could go for SoaR Reaver after selling off the Sands of Time starter item, whereas Man Ray, very tanky build here on Asilla. Very worried with the Warlock Sash fully stacked up. He's got the health there. Looks like he's going for Ethereal next as well, and with the Helm available to him as well. A little bit tankier than you normally expect Asilla to be.
It makes a little bit of sense here for the Ethereal staff to be picked up for Met Yankee. He's trying to make sure that his bombs are going to be doing as much damage as possible. That passive resets every 10 seconds, so this is why we see it on that option. SoaR Reaver is definitely a more popular item in terms of the Scylla selection, because you want to get the more magical power because of your passive having a huge magical power spike. It synergizes very well with Rod of Tahuti, and you're basically looking to burst people down with Alma Monster to find the reset.
Well, fine, okay. Was a little bit far forward there, but it's Mike now the one in an awkward position as well. Requires some bombs from Met Yankee to help him out. Jigs was in an awkward spot for a second with the amount of damage he took, but he'll be fine for now.
The Hearts was also used by Vedim, so Jigs has to wait for that cooldown to come back up before he engages. And he could look to back here, but with the action being started...
Pole Demon goes the way of Allegiance, but the Fields of Love is pretty good. Polar Bear Mike, however, will ult in response to zone back SoaR for a second. Fine, okay, with an ult of his own will slow down the front line of Allegiance and force them back once more. Now Homie FA crashing in, but a little bit too late to the party. A lot of whiffed abilities here, totally, from both teams.
Absolutely, and this is why this game has been dragged on a little bit too long, I would say, here for at least.
Yeah.
And the left-hand side, Jigs taking a little bit of poke, but this time Vedim's Hearts is available. Being picked up by Man Ray is definitely a better case here, that you want to make sure that Man Ray is going to be alive as long as possible, getting off multiple routes, multiple crushes.
Either team could actually win this game with how it's going. Keep an eye on Weaken. He'll always be looking to flank around the back on that Morrigan, looking for the all-in damage potential, and a quick switch to Bacchus to escape, which he's been looking for a lot of the time. Fire Giant started by Allegiance. Jigs now forced into fight, looks towards Weaken, and there's fine okay to focus Weaken too. Cyclone on the other hand, though, looking straight towards Vetium. Petrify from Oceans will slow them down, but deal no damage. I'm a monster from Man Ray. Doesn't find a home either. Bombs from Met Yankee will slow down the front line of SoaR disengaging and allow Oceans to finally pick up the first kill of this engagement.
Frenzied Ritual was popped as well, doing a lot of damage as Oceans, forcing out the Aegis. Man Ray falling down to Weaken. Homie F is still trying to run away. He has the speed buff. Oceans has a lot of mobility as well, but Weaken finds one.
He gets two in that engagement, actually does Weaken on the backline. He picked up Man Ray first of all, and then continued that on as well. No ultimate available. I'm not sure who he became because I didn't catch that on camera, but that was the first time I've seen Allegiance be aggressive, and it wasn't Weaken to initiate. Weaken hung around and then turn into, I'm guessing, more than likely Man Ray.
I'm a Monster just was not on the mark for Man Ray, so SoaR couldn't really win the team fight compared to the last ones where it always was on the mark, finding the resets as well for Man Ray. But this time, Allegiance taking advantage of this. They win the team fight. They secure themselves a Fire Giant. They find themselves the tier 2 mid tower, getting revenge for theirs falling earlier on in the game. And this is putting them in a good spot. Having this Fire Giant buff with the respawn timers being this long could have potentially opened the door for some Phoenixes to collapse.
And the lead does actually start to grow now because of that. Tier 2 left, sorry, tier 2 mid, tier 2 right, Gold Fury, Fire Giant all in the last couple of seconds. There's a lot of bonus gold to finish off these builds now available for Allegiance based off that, and then all they have to do is just head left lane, take the last 2 towers, and get that Phoenix.
And then obviously from that point on, after these items are completed, that's when they're going to start working on some of these rituals. They're going to be able to get some of these frenzied rituals. We saw the last fight, Cyclone Spin actually popped that frenzied ritual during the later stages of it when he was already focused. He had 3 members around him. He popped the frenzied ritual to allow everyone to secure themselves those 3 picks.
And now it's going to be an awkward position for SoaR to be in because they're on defense now. And one of their best ways of really defending this SoaR when you've got this composition is generally be aggressive before your opposition.
Yes, you want to be able to catch somebody slipping around the jungle by themselves. Weekend could be one of those prime targets considering he doesn't have a natural escape. However, he did now pick up that combat blink ritual, so he's going to be able to just get out of danger anytime he really wants to.
We talked about the pressure that could be on Homie FA and Jigs this game with having Man Ray in the mid lane, a substitute. But at the moment, they've done their best so far, and he's put Man Ray in good standing in this set to begin with. But Allegiance now, they're the ones that are aggressing. They get the tier 1. Now they're looking at a tier 2. It does look like SoaR wants to defend this, though.
They definitely need to do something here because they can't just allow Allegiance to walk all over them. Final K eating 2 bombs just like that, taking about 25 to 30% of his health.
He'll get healed up by Vetium there with the share the love. Right-hand side, keep an eye on Homie FA. He's always going to be involved in this fight without even spotting him. He'll go to the sky, get that aerial pick. They would really like Weekend if they can. Weekend will be the focus point for them, but Met Yankee, for me, has had a fantastic game. His bombs, his stuns have been very, very strong. Positioning is key on Agni, and he's been in a good spot for most of the set.
He's definitely that X factor for his team, making sure that he's not out of position. That's very difficult to do considering Agni's dash doesn't go through walls, whereas Man Ray's Sentinel does, giving him that more leniency towards making on offensive playing, being able to get out of danger a little bit more. Not only that, we can also potentially see Homie FA catch that dash on the wrong side of it for Mad Yankee.
And this is the awkward thing for Allegiance with their composition. Their only actual engage is generally Weekend doing what he's doing now, looking for a pick.
Oh, he got caught!
And eating half the damage.
He got caught!
He's dead. Aegis, no, we'll save him for now. Jigs was thinking about going in as well. Weekend very, very low here. May force a fight from SoaR, but they're not going for the fight. They're just going to let them walk away and hold their position.
Homie FA was distracted by Cyclone Spin in the mid lane, having his ultimate available. That Anvil of Dawn could have easily secured the kill onto Weekend. However, Weekend was still very patient here because he didn't even use the flickering ritual. And now he bought the rallying ritual to be able to get back into this action.
And he will be back soon as well. Splitting the differences, Allegiance now realizing they don't really have a hard engage. Jigs gets a flop on Weekend, and Homie FA goes straight for Met Yankee. The Aegis absorbs most of the damage, and now Cyclone's going to reduce the damage with that tether. Not enough to keep Met Yankee alive for now, though, but Weekend's turned into Agni, and the bombs rain down. Homie FA will fall.
Great play from Weekend, making sure he has a long-range stun set up to be able to catch Homie FA, trading 1 for 1. Not having that Agni bomb damage with the Fire Giant, though, is very problematic for Allegiance to be able to find the long-distance poke, finding the picks, and then finding these objectives afterwards. On the flip side, though, it's way more difficult to defend if you're SoaR now, not having that long-range distance stun.
I mean, I'm not upset, though, if I'm SoaR, because we just defended our Phoenixes against a full Fire Giant team. Allegiance's hardest task is how they're going to engage. It always is with this composition. Who the heck is going to engage? Cyclone Spin's going to ult in? Is that what you're hoping for?
No, he's just going to walk at you. How many Osiris have we seen just this week just walk at you?
Under a Phoenix, though, Tully, it's a lot more tricky, right?
No, he's just going to walk at you.
You're just going to see him walk, and then
he's going to try to juke out all those abilities.
Who wants to do the same thing, which is walk at you. Your engage is very limited to whatever Weekend will do with Morrigan, I feel. Maybe it becomes Thor for the initial engagement, but siege on a base is very, very tricky when you don't have somebody to initiate these fights as easy.
The thing is, the way Weekend initiates is when he goes into stealth mode, and if he's going to go into stealth mode under a Phoenix, he's just going to be revealed, and everyone from SoaR is just going to collapse on him anyway, so you have to rely on either Cyclone Spin or PBM looking for that engage, and then maybe it's going to be Weekend that's going to stay in the backline, making sure that nobody from his team is going to get in too much danger.
Well, at 42 minutes now, the respawns will get a little bit longer, and that causes the situation to develop to the game could actually end in one deicide right now, especially if there's a dance of the Fire Giant that has begun. The Portal Demon in favor of Allegiance for now. It won't last too long, though. SoaR are just doing their best to make sure they keep eyes on.
Crush doing a lot of damage to Psycho Spin. About 15 to 20% of his health has been taken away.
Look at those frenzies on Allegiance.
3 on the side of Allegiance. 2 flickering rituals. 1 for Mad Yankee. 1 for Weekend that's been purchased a long time ago. Still hasn't been used quite yet, but also 2 flickerings on the side of SoaR and 1 frenzy as well.
They're all grouped in that little gap, and I don't like it. The Met Yankee recognized it. Sadly, he's only going to hit Jigs, though. But for a second, both Man Ray, Jigs, Fine, OK, and Vayne were all in that little corridor. That could have been awkward. There's a frenzied ritual pop by Allegiance as they look to disengage. They've got plenty of them to juggle this around. To the back line goes Polar Bear Mike now after Vetium and SoaR push forward. Jigs is still eating a lot of damage.
Homie FA diving onto Med. Yankee Hammer is down, though no Aegis available to survive. Double jump onto 2. Ocean's taking out Jigs. That's 2 dead on the side of SoaR.
And Oceans doesn't get picked up by Vetium there. Absorbs most of the damage from the Heart Bomb. Bombs from Met Yankee rain down Titan once more, weakening the backline, doing work. Cyclone, though, looking for Man Ray and will clean up Scylla. Next on the list could be fine. Okay, the slows coming into play. The tether as well. This could be game totally off this one engagement, and it was SoaR that flopped in. Jigs tried to initiate, and Allegiance turned it on his head.
They saw weaken in the mid lane. They thought they had a 5-on-4 advantage for long enough to be able to force the issue, but it just wasn't enough. SoaR now, they dropped 4 members. They're going to drop the right side Phoenix and Allegiance. They're feeling very confident. They're popping another frenzy to push down this Titan.
It's only Vetium on his own against the world here. Forced back to his fountain for a second, but the Titan, that won't live for long with no towers really left standing. Yankee will pick up Vetium for the final kill of the game. 44 minutes in,